Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and taking time out of your busy days to allow me to share the vision that the Lord had given me in regards to the rapture. So it came to me in the form of a dream, and I'll just jump right into it because I don't want the video to be too long. But it came to me. I had a dream. And in the dream, I was with a man. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So I've been single for a very, very long time. And I prayed a specific prayer. My prayer to God was that I wanted him to keep anyone out of my life that would keep me from him. So anyone that would take me off of a path or that would try to deter me from following the Lord, I would always, I pray that he would never let those type of relationships come to pass, and those type of men would never enter my life, that they would not find an attraction in me, and that if they did find an attraction in me, that I would have the willpower and the discipline to say no and overpower my humanly desires and my fleshly desires and be more spirit-led as opposed to lust and just think about what I want and need at that point in time. And so in this dream, I was with a man, and we were walking. We were just walking in this almost in like this jungle type of environment, where there were buildings, there were houses, but it was surrounded by trees, and so it could be something more of like you envision like a luxury resort or something. It was intended to be something that was rustic, but they spent a lot of money to make it look rustic, whatever the area was. So think of like, any resort in, the Caribbean or in the forest. You could think of the most, luxurious type of resort, and they're going to be in the middle of the jungle, and they're going to have, you're going to use a waterfall for shower. It was that type of environment. And so I was with a man, and there were two children, and we were walking, and out of nowhere it just got pitch black. It just got really dark, dark. And the kids, they just vanished. And I just started flipping out. I just lost it. I'm like, where are my babies? Where are the children? I couldn't find them. And I started running and looking for them, and they literally just vanished into thin air. And I couldn't figure it out. And I think probably about maybe 4 or 5 minutes into it, I realized other people were missing their children as well. And I realized at that point, it just dawned on me that Jesus had come back, and he had taken his people, and he had taken the children, and he did not take me. He had left me behind because I had lost my way. I had lost my way and started to become involved with someone that was not of God. Me and this man, we got along on every other plane. We got along, mentally, emotionally, physically. I mean, we were just great together. We responded to each other, but the only thing was, it was the God factor. I don't think that he was a believer. And so at any rate, I had entered a relationship, an unequally yoked relationship with someone. And I don't know if in the dream, if he was my husband. I'm not sure who he was or what type of role, but I know that he was someone that I was romantically involved with, and I had had a child with. And in that instance, I started running, because the moment, I would say probably a minutes after the children had disappeared, I started to run, because I felt something was chasing me, something was coming, and it wasn't good. It was fear. It was something that was not good. And I started running, and I had not yet seen what this thing that was going to be chasing me, but I had a head start. And I looked around, and I saw all of these cameras that were just like watching me. And I guess the cameras had already been there, but they were like camcorders, and they were in every corner, and I had never noticed them before. But the moment the moment that the children had left and Jesus had came back, at that moment, I then realized that I had been watched my entire life. Now, awake as I'm awake right now talking, sharing this with you guys, I understand, I know that we are being washed, but in the dream, I had become so very deep into my desires, my, instant gratification of just like living a fun life, a fun filled joy, just life without God, doing whatever my heart desired to do, my body desired to do, just doing whatever I wanted, and not even really thinking about the consequences of those actions. And it's really interesting because we can say that, I think it kind of gets into the liberal aspect of it, where people think, well, if people are happy and it's not hurting anyone, it's not necessarily, why is it a sin if it doesn't hurt anyone? And that's kind of the mindset that this version of myself in my dream had, that I just enjoyed life. I was making money. I could do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want. I can travel wherever I want. I could do whatever I want. And I didn't think about the consequences of violating God's commandments and what he said, until you don't think about it, until you can't do anything about it. And there's no worse feeling than feeling that God has left you, that Jesus has come back and he left you. And you know that it's too late. It's too late to know that it's too late. And I remember waking up, and at one point in my life, when I was when I had this dream, I was doing some things that I know that did not please the Lord. I knew those things did not please the Lord. In fact, in the very act of doing those things, I thought to myself, if God came back, if Jesus came back today, if he came back right now at this moment, I wouldn't be ready. If he came back in the midst of me doing this, I wouldn't be ready. I wouldn't be ready. And I would get left behind. And I remember thinking that. And it's a very dark feeling to know that, because to be a believer, to follow Christ is it's not easy. It's not easy because you struggle with your flesh, and you struggle with your personal desires, and to some extent, your body and just your carnal self. You want to be selfish. You want to do things that are gratifying to you, because sin is very easy. Sin is very easy. And for the body, for the flesh, it can be enjoyable if you don't know the Lord. Understanding the consequences of sin, it makes things more clear. But for those people that aren't saved, that don't know God, that hasn't really had the opportunity to, it's not fair to say they haven't had the opportunity. They've chosen not to. For those people that don't truly know God and know what how joyful a relationship with him could be, and just doing whatever you want to do, what feels good to you, you can't really get it right. It's a very lonely feeling. It's a very lonely feeling, because in your darkest hours, and you're in the moments that you feel you have absolutely nothing, you actually have God. You actually have God. But whenever you don't have God, you feel like you have no one. And that's when depression creeps in. And that's when people have suicidal thoughts, because they feel like they're alone and things like that. So it's just a very dangerous place to be. But I kind of went off onto a bunny trail. But I wanted to share this with you guys, because it's something that I think about all the time. If he came back right now, at this moment, at this very moment, if he came back, would you be ready? Would you know for a fact that you would make it? Or are you just gonna ride on mercy and grace and pray that that God doesn't give you what you deserve, and he gives you what you don't deserve, right? Or are we just gonna ride off of that? It's a lot to take in. But I don't want to make this video too long. I said I wasn't going to make it long, and here it is. Now I'm creeping on 10 minutes. But thank you so much for allowing me to share this with you. God bless you. And I'll be praying for each and every one of you.